Jeff Rowe, just to be clear, Michael is, despite leaving the campaign, still a big supporter of Donald Trump. What is your public posture on whether you're a Trump man now?
Well, it's been 6 weeks, so I'm still waiting to see. His speech yesterday took a big step forward, and along with his position on judges, which today we got the reminder of how important that is, makes a real stark reaction of what this campaign will be about and what the results of it will mean for America. But I'm waiting to see, along with millions of Americans and Republicans, to see how Donald conducts the campaign and earns our vote.
Michael, you hear that from a guy who's obviously a very conservative Republican who says he's still not sure. How does that make you feel? And think about the challenge for the Trump campaign.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that are sitting just like Jeff who are waiting for more of a few more points on this line to call it a trend. But I'm very confident that we're going to see a whole different kind of campaign after the decisions made on Monday. I believe with Paul Manafort completely in charge, and he's putting up the structure that he's always wanted to put up. And I think Donald Trump's going to get the campaign he deserves, and skeptics are going to start to see that this is something that they can get behind.
Michael, the campaign is right now going to go to the May fundraising numbers are very, very bad in terms of on the ground, very, very weak at this moment. Mr. Trump has said he doesn't really care about data or data analytics, a lot of tools of kind of traditional modern campaigns. How much of that do you put at Corey Lewandowski's feet?
I think some of it, but really it's not about Corey Lewandowski. It's about where this campaign is going forward. I think we also saw news yesterday that Mr. Trump probably broke most records for online fundraising. By the way, Jeff, you guys did good online as well, but it's really tremendous. So we got $3 million in 24 hours in online fundraising, and he's never used that list before. Democrats better be ready for about a $20 million a month online fundraising churn from his list. And I also think the mechanics of fundraising, the things that were, to be put in place, the events and the internal processes that need to be put in place are now in place. And the decisions that were made on Monday, moved away some of the wood that was in the way, and we're going to see more and more success in fundraising. On the ground, you're going to see a lot more hiring. There are a lot of people being considered with the decisions on Monday. Those hires will happen. And a lot more things that you would expect from a traditional campaign are going to be put up from here forward.
Jeff, let me ask you this question. You're a guy who is a big fan of data, of targeting, of ground game, of all of the most kind of leading edge campaign techniques. That was your kind of stock in trade. I know you're on the outside, but as an observer of the Trump campaign, the statements it's made, what we know about it from the reporting on it, and again, Mr. Trump's own assertions, how worried are you about the state of that campaign? Does that look like a campaign in a state of crisis to you, as it does to some Republican operatives?
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't point out that without data, without online fundraising, they kicked my butt anyway. And that's on top of us raising $93 million, which was a record at the time, or a record for Republican primaries, getting 8 million votes. And Mr. Trump has a way to control the news cycle. And I believe they'll be able to put it together, but they do have to get going right now. Where this really boils down to is data and analytics and ground really equates to about 1.5, 2.5, 3.5 points, depending on how the Democrats are doing it. And the Democrats are clearly doing it very well because they've won so many campaigns. The Clintons won so many campaigns within the margin of error. And so that typically means that the ground game made the difference. And so I think they have time. The RNC has done a good job ramping up. It's a candidate generic model, so they'll need to make it Trump specific. But if you look at the polls the last few days, I mean, for what has been 6.5 weeks of pretty tough stuff for the Trump campaign, he's still in margin of error or up in places where you'd need to be. And in fact, he's doing better than you would anticipate him doing in places like Pennsylvania and others. So I think there's time to catch up, but they do have to get going very quickly.
You guys are coming back in the next block, so let's rapid round end here. Smartest pick for vice president for Trump would be who?
Tom Cotton.
Okay. Jeff Rowe, smartest pick for Trump?
Anybody besides Newt Gingrich.
All right. The smartest thing the Clinton campaign's doing right now is what?
Keeping the pressure up on Donald Trump. And I think right now, actually, they're going to start getting some pushback.
Jeff Rowe?
Yeah, I think they're probably on-ground mechanics is what you can see right now that they're doing the best.
Keynote speaker at the convention, who'd be the smartest pick?
It's hard for me to say, but I wish I could see Jack Kemp up there speaking.
Jeff Rowe, go with somebody alive, if you would.
let me take a little different direction. If you want to rally the conservatives, put a stamp on our party, and take this into a general election with everybody fully motivated, I think Ted Cruz should have a big role in the convention.
Mr. Caputo, you were, in your capacity as an advisor to the Trump campaign, working pretty hard out in Cleveland, Ohio, getting ready for the convention. Just give us a sense of how prepared the campaign was for the possibility of a significant challenge to Mr. Trump's nomination.
Well, you know, the whole caucus operation, the division is the Trump office in the convention, and they've been preparing from the very beginning for a load of chicanery. They've been expecting something. We're hopeful that it's not going to happen, but the communications team we put in place, it's mostly Army veterans, combat veterans, people that are good under pressure, solid communicators with a lot of Capitol Hill and campaign experience, more veterans than on any other team in politics. And also, boy, I'll tell you, our floor operations team is going to be stellar. There's not going to be anyone to compare it to in recent times. Doug Davenport, who's going to head that up, is an expert beyond all other experts. So I think if somebody wants to play a game in Cleveland, they better bring an army.
Jeff, you were, for a period of time, preparing to be one of those chicanery inducers when we thought there was a chance there was going to be a contested convention and Ted Cruz was going to be one of the contestees. What's your sense at this moment of the degree of energy, organization, motivation of those who would still like to try to dump Trump?
Oh, I think there's some there. I think the last 6 weeks that we've gone through is really what's put this in motion and gave it energy. And I think depending on how the campaign progresses in the next 3 weeks is really going to be determinative about how much energy there is. I mean, essentially, Republicans want to win. And when we see what has happened in the last 6 weeks, we're very concerned that will actually be the case. But I categorize it when I talk to people about this is that it's probably 50% more organized, more disciplined, better funded than you would hope. And it's probably 25% less than you would fear. But there's some talented people involved. They have some money. But I think our posture is that Donald Trump won the nomination, and he's going to be our nominee. And if other things happen, then that's out of our control. We're not in talks, coordination, or participation with the effort. But in my estimation, Trump could put that away in the next 3 weeks.
Why isn't Senator Cruz on the Trump train?
Well, a lot of people may not have noticed they had a very aggressive campaign for a year.
Well, I understand, but he had an aggressive campaign against Ben Carson, against Chris Christie. I mean,
he did.
What,
yeah,
is it just personal? I mean, you say Republicans want to win. You say Donald Trump's going to be the nominee. I don't understand. What is Senator Cruz waiting for?
Well, there's 138 days left, so I guess we'll have a little water pass under the bridge. But also, I think it's important. We were campaigning aggressively about the direction of the country and the conservative movement and representing those values. We had a strong conversation about that for over a year. And so I think it's okay for everybody to take stock and see how the campaign plays out and have the Trump campaign win over our votes and help put everybody on in the same wagon.
Donald Trump suggested the other day that he thought Jeb Bush and Ted Cruz were behind some of these efforts to whip up delegates. Do you have that same suspicion?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Ted Cruz was the only former candidate who requested a private meeting room in the convention center where the committee meetings are going to be. That meeting was denied.
The request for the room.
The request from the room.
Who denied it? Who made that decision?
The convention did.
The convention. Who's that?
Well, that's a very big thing that's happening in Cleveland.
Yeah. Would you like to say that you personally denied it?
No, I would tweet it if I did.
Right.
But I'll tell you what I'm interested in is seeing that this thing peters out with a very strong and positive campaign that gets down to the very important distilled messages that Donald Trump knows very well. The most important one is you either are for change or you're for more of the same. 8 more years of Barack Obama. I think you saw some of that in this speech yesterday, and I think more. Some of these, for example, the conference calls that they're having, trying to gin up this dump Trump movement. They're talking about 400 people being on that call. But frankly, 280 of them stayed on for less than a minute.
How do you know that?
I just know somebody who was watching the feed. So
it must be the same information that you got that we requested a meeting room,
Jeff,
which is not correct.
Not correct.
No, I would know if we did, and we didn't.
We're going to have to hash that out.
We will.
Yeah.
We will.
Who made that request?
It said it came from the Cruz effort. So, and listen, There's nothing wrong with requesting a meeting room in a building.
It was the same day that his father shot JFK. I think maybe.
Jeff Rowe, who's the second most likely Republican nominee?
Oh, I don't think there is one. I mean, I think that Trump's our nominee, and I think that he has an opportunity in the next few months to put all of us in the same wagon and see and carry us to victory.
Jeff, you just said that the Dumb Trump movement was 50% more organized and better financed than you would have hoped.
Than those watching would have hoped.
Right,
sure.
but it's a real thing in your opinion, right? I think almost everybody who's watching this assumes that at least part of the reason why Ted Cruz has not endorsed Donald Trump is that he wants to keep his options open. He wants to be in a position where if that movement does gel, he could be the beneficiary of it in Cleveland. Are you saying there's no truth to that at all?
No, I mean, we suited up. We got in the race, raised $93 million, won a dozen states, put it all on the field every single day. There's no, we're not in the jungle with a knife behind our, in our teeth, waiting for the next opportunity to strike. That's not the case. It's just taking some time. There's others that are doing the same thing. And I think it's important. The conservative values that the senator holds very dear and he campaigned on, really for his career, but for sure in this campaign, are very important to him. And so at some point, I'm sure the two of them will get in a room and discuss some of their differences and where they can agree, and we'll see what comes out of that meeting. That's not happened. But I think it will take that to have any kind of conversations moving forward.